My name is Jeanne-Marie Petrie. I graduated from Lock Haven University, which is in Pennsylvania, back in 2013 with my BSW in social work. After I graduated, I took a few years off of school and I've been practicing in the field for about 5 years with agencies that deal with helping individuals that are experiencing homelessness, as well as prevention programs for households that are at high risk of becoming homeless. Right now, I live in Fort Collins, Colorado, and I worked with the Salvation Army for 4 years from the East and West Coast. Has their social services coordinator and Pathways of Hope coordinator. And this past year, I switched to Outreach Fort Collins, which is a street outreach team for the homeless here in the downtown area. I'm interested in taking this course because I feel it'll be very beneficial to my field placement. For the spring and fall semester, I'm going to be interning at the Larimer County Jail, working with individuals that are incarcerated from crimes stemming from mental health and substance use. So I feel that this course is really going to help me as far as the mental health assessments, diagnosing, group therapy, and individual therapy, and connecting a lot of people in jail to medication. An interesting fact about myself is that I have lived a lot of places. I lived in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, Washington, D.C., Florida, Wyoming, Colorado, and Canada. And CSU is my 14th school. What I hope to gain from taking this class is, again, a little bit more of the clinical aspect as far as help with diagnosing and mental health assessments. And I feel that this class is going to be really valuable because I'm going to be able to take it a semester before I start my internship. And then when I take the second course in fall, it will be alongside coinciding with my internship. So a lot of the readings and assignments I feel will really align with the practice that I'm going to be having at my field placement. As far as working with diverse populations and groups, I feel that I have had a very broad experience. I've worked with a lot of different age groups as well as people from different countries, different culture, race, religion, and backgrounds. I work a lot with veterans, non-veterans, victims of domestic violence, victims of human trafficking, as well as inmates that are incarcerated from the prison from Pennsylvania and the jail here in Larimer County starting in the fall. I also have worked and do work with sex offenders, as well as people that are just from all over, speak different languages. I could really go on. So I am fortunate to have a little exposure to the different diversity through the programs that I've led because homelessness does affect everybody. And as far as a clinical position, I haven't had much clinical experience, but as part of my outreach team, we do offer on-the-street brief therapy, crisis intervention, and de-escalation when merchants and police officers call us to respond to a situation that's not illegal but uncomfortable or inappropriate. So I have a little bit of that aspect, but not in the fact of like assessments or diagnosing or anything. So that's something that I'm very excited to learn. Most of the, since they weren't clinical, they're mostly community-based, and in the communities that I've lived, it's mostly been rural. So Lock Haven, Pennsylvania was a little bit more rural than Fort Collins in terms of not having a lot of services. The services we did have being very spread out. Sometimes you'd have to drive an hour or more to access resources, and there wasn't public transportation, and if people didn't have a vehicle or financial means with gas to access those resources, they didn't have any other options. So here in Fort Collins, I do feel that even though it is rural, there's a lot of resources and all of the resources work very well together. This community collaborates a lot, and there's a interagency treatment group, and there's a community card system that's underway from my program director. So there is a lot more offered here, and there's also public transportation. And the last thing here is from my experience, what do you think distinguishes mental illness from a typical occurring behavior? I feel that when you hear behavior, you mostly think that it's an action that's being performed. And I feel like the word behavior comes off a little bit more accusatory in the fact of, it sounds a little bit more like this is an action that you're choosing to do. And there's more responsibility behind it, but I personally feel that a lot of the behaviors that I've experienced are stemming from mental health or substance use or both if it's co-occurring. So for example, if somebody is displaying disruptive behavior, if they are experiencing paranoia, and anything like that. In those instances, it could be from drug use, it could be from mental health. So I feel like, as far as a mental illness, that is more long term, that's diagnosable, it's more seen as like a medical aspect as far as diagnosing, assessing, and treating, whereas a behavior is more of a temporary physical act that is resulting from several different factors, which can also be mental illness and substance use. So that's kind of how I feel in terms of like a community perspective. In terms of my own opinion, is that most of the behaviors that I do see are stemming from additional factors that, and it's more in depth than that, but a behavior is the current temporary action that is being completed. So I'm interested to hear your feedback and to watch your videos as well. Thank you.